Good afternoon and welcome to Charger Podcast number 2. I want to thank those of you that listened to the first version of this podcast. That was sort of a trial run for me, and I put a lot of this down on paper to try to make sure I said what I wanted to. But this time I'm going to try to make it a little more conversational, a little less rehearsed, and just go through and talk about the things that need to be discussed this week. Today is Thursday, September 12th. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we are heading to a football game this weekend. And I'm thinking about the school board meeting on Monday. I want to thank the 22 subscribers that we have already for the podcast. That's a good start. And YouTube says over 200 views, although this is only audio, so I'm not sure if I trust that number. But if there were 200 people plus who listened to this, I think that's great and makes it worthwhile for me to continue. So I'd encourage you to share this with anyone you think might be interested, and hopefully the numbers will keep going up. First thing on the agenda today I want to talk about, by the way, I'm Chris Katz. I'm the superintendent of Union City Schools. I suppose I should mention that. First thing I want to talk about is our stadium dedication we had last Friday. We had a fantastic turnout for that. Beautiful weather for the game. Our Chargers played well and got the victory. And in that dedication, I thanked a number of people who worked on the bleachers. One I mentioned that I want to make sure to mention here as well is Ryan Nagel. And I mentioned Ryan because Ryan basically lived these bleachers for about a year, always available whenever the construction team needed excavating done. And yes, he had a contract and was paid for his work, but trust me when I say that he did much work over and above what he was contracted to do. And even in his contract, he gave the school a very extremely good price. And I'm sure we saved the district, he saved the district well over $100,000 on that project, probably $200,000 with all the extra things that he did. And I want to thank him very much. Another person I want to mention is Rick Waterspaw, who I forgot to mention last Friday night, who used his power wash to clean up all of the old concrete that wasn't replaced along the each side of the bleachers, and it just made the whole facility look so much better, and I wanted to thank Rick for that. So moving on, I want to talk about our school board meeting next Monday, the 16th. At this board meeting, there's a couple things important on the agenda. Well, everything on the agenda is important, but two stand out to me. The first one is selecting a new board member. Our board member, Paula DeYoung, chose to resign her seat at the last board meeting. And I want to thank Paula for all of her service to the school board. School board members spent a great deal of time going over materials, reading and preparing for meetings, and then participating in meetings and speaking to the community and hearing their concerns. And I want to thank her for that. We have 4 candidates for the open seat. If you're not familiar with how this works, because Paula's resignation was after the deadline for petitions to be filed to be on the ballot this fall, there wasn't enough time to get that process done. The board will be selecting someone to join them, and that person will serve in that position the rest of this year and for the next 2 years of Paula's term until the next election, which will be in the fall of 2026. And so the board will have 4 candidates to consider. I want to thank those folks for coming forward and volunteering. And if you want to see their interviews, you can be on the broadcast of the board meeting next Monday night on YouTube, or come to the board meeting in the High School Media Center, 6:30 p.m. Monday the 16th. The other item on the agenda for the board meeting Monday that I wanted to talk about is the result of some work that's been going on since really last December. Our board last December chose to engage a company called Chrisman and work with them to help study our facilities, to provide for us details on what the lifespan remaining of each of them is and what repairs we might need to make in order to extend their life. Our goal was to try to find out what we needed to do to make sure we had another 30 to 50 years, and if help us decide if maybe it was smarter, rather than to put more money into the existing facilities, maybe building something new would be the better course. In January, I found out about a grant program that the state had for doing a consolidation study. This is not a consolidation of districts. This is a consolidation within your district. Talking to school districts around the state, trying to find out in what ways, with declining enrollment in many districts, not just ours, in what ways districts might be able to consolidate their functions that would save energy, save money over the long term. And so they offered a grant to pay for this study. So we applied for that grant, and we were awarded $45,000 roughly to do this study. The advantages of this, of course, is it allowed us to pay an architect firm to help us do this study and get some really good numbers. So we're still working with Chrisman, and we're working with C2AE, the architect firm, in order to examine all of our facilities, and they will have a report for us of the study Monday night, the 16th, at that meeting. And so they'll present to the board a look at our district. They will look at our enrollment. We actually contracted with companies that study and project enrollment. They will look at what savings we might have by having a new building or doing renovations in our buildings. They will look at what parts of our buildings need repair, aren't going to make it for another 20 years, and they'll provide a recommendation. The details of that recommendation will be made Monday night. And so I want to make sure it's understood by everyone. This does not mean that's exactly what the board's going to do. We're going to get a recommendation from them as far as what they believe our best course of action is. Now, the nice thing about this study is we can use it two ways. First of all, only 10 districts got the grant to do the study. Those 10 districts can then apply for a pool of money, it's $245 million roughly, to help them implement the recommendations of the study. So we are one of 10 districts that can apply for that pool of money. So we may be able to do some of our work that needs to be done using funds from the state after we apply for the grant based upon this study. So we are going to apply for those funds, and hopefully we will get awarded some money. We don't have any idea how much. We don't even know how the state is going to determine which districts get money. They might choose to fund one district with that money. They might choose to spread the money among all the districts. We don't know how they're going to do that. But that's one part. The second way we're going to use the facility study is we're going to put together a steering committee that's going to look at the results of the study, talk to people in the community. We're going to get a lot of people from different areas of our community to be part of this committee to help us develop over the next 4 months a plan for our future, for the board to be able to move forward with. In other words, we don't want to continue patching things and putting money into facilities that maybe aren't going to make it for the long haul. And so we want to know that what we're doing is not just what we've thought of most recently, but is part of a long-term plan. And that plan will hopefully prepare us for the next 30 to 50 years. It'll be something that the board every year can look at and follow. How we will go about implementing that, where we will get the money to make the repairs we need to, all those things are in the future to be decided. So for right now, we're going to get the results of our study Monday night. If you're interested, I would encourage you to attend, be there for that meeting, or you can watch and listen online Monday night. And we'll see what comes out of that. We'll see what they recommend for us, and we'll begin to move forward. The last thing I'm going to mention in this podcast, tomorrow night, varsity football team's in Reading, and hopefully many of you will be able to make the trip to support the team. Next week, we have a home game, and it's the Hall of Fame game. The Athletic Hall of Fame has selected 2 teams to join and become teams of fame. They'll be recognized at halftime. We're going to have a little tailgating cookout beforehand for those teams. And at halftime, they'll be recognized and given certificates. And those 2 teams this year are the 1982-1983 Union City Charger cheerleaders, who had just an outstanding record and career. And then our 1994-95 football team, who were undefeated conference champions. So be there this Friday night in Reading, next Friday night at home versus Maple Valley, and go Chargers!